Thanks. So I'm here to talk about using Windows diagnostics for system compromise. If you're looking for the Jeep thing, it's next door, I think. So anyway, let's get started. So I'm Nicholas Berthaume, Kah and Aricon. I'm a penetration tester with Coalfire Labs. On IRC, probably more than is healthy for anyone alive. I like playing games, and I really like easy mode, because you know what, everybody likes the easy thing. There is going to be some delicate language in this. If you're offended by that, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do anything about it. So, what is this about? Is anyone here familiar with Windows troubleshooting? No? You've never had to fix a Windows box? Reboot! Yeah, click it again. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm going to talk about using troubleshooting tools to bypass things like antivirus, do phishing attacks, show you a toolkit on how to do it, do elevation, all sorts of fun stuff. Because who here has trouble building macros that actually work? Even with Veil and some of the tools that people have written for it. I know it's difficult, people that develop Veil and what have you, and it's like you have to jump through a lot of hoops. So originally I saw this as being a great avenue for replacing that, or at least augmenting it with something you don't require. It doesn't require Office. So why should it be here? You want something that can get by some HID systems, because a lot of stuff will block, macros via GPO or via some other security control, like a third-party HID system. You have an interest in easy tools that are built for shells and recon. That's what I wrote there. So basically, this is designed not just in this portion for getting a shell, not just for a foothold, but also for doing post-exploitation recon on networks with a tool set that is portable and easy to write for. I like PowerShell tricks. I'm sure a fair number of y'all do. And if you're, as I said, if through stock filled up, you're here. So if not, it's going to be really cool. So if you want to go do it. Anyway, he's one of my coworkers, by the way. So more power to him. So this is a new technique. I don't know if anybody else had talked about this before I did initially at the ShmooCon blog, but I've evolved that a little bit, and I want to present it here. So I'm going to be releasing a tool this week that will allow this to be created on Linux systems, so you don't have to use some of the Microsoft tools. But I'll go over some of those, because there are some reasons to use those that aren't quite there yet on the other platforms. And a newfound love for troubleshooting Windows. You're going to have that, really. Yay! It will not be a perfect replacement. There are some problems with it. Like with every technique, there are some issues that you'll run into, and they're not always something you get past. You can roll it out with some work. You do have to do some steps. Given the title, you will have to have a code signing key, for instance. But those are $60 or more, and a few pieces of ID, and your firstborn child, stuff like that. There are no 0 days in this, and I'm not going to give you my code signing keys, nor will I give you stuff that I have signed. It's got my name on it. All right, so the current state of the art, VBA macros. This may not be the current state of the art, and I just don't realize it, but that's what people often use for embedding executable code or dropping in a zip file or something of that nature for getting a shell via phishing attack. So encrypted files bypass detonation is what this can do. The tool I'm going to release has got a cryptor built into it that requires user interaction. The great thing about user interaction is detonation systems are terrible at interacting with things like a person would. So it's very easy to get past those systems, even if they are looking for the file format that I'm going to go over. You can do code caving to variable levels of success, but a lot of times the code caving stuff, if you use like an existing DLL from interpreter or something like that, can get caught and does get caught by a lot of AV now. You can also use 0 days, but those are really expensive, and they get killed pretty quick as soon as they get widespread use. And you can get the thing where it's a signed applet and click 5 times in Java to get it to work. But you know what? Users like to click stuff. They don't like to click 8 things and go across a bunch of menus as often. Still happens, but it's a lot of pain for them. So why not make it easy and use something that's already built in so they don't need Java? Okay? So they are really overkill. I found the GIF funny. So what's that another? Diagnostic cabinets. Who here has heard of that before? Seriously? Not even people I've shown the talk to before? Wow. Tough crowd. So it was designed to facilitate creation of diagnostic tools originally for Microsoft, but later it was integrated into the operating system so everyone could use them. So if you've ever done Microsoft support, they will send you an exe that will extract and actually install or use the tool on the operating system, and then call one of these diagnostic cabs. Those would come in and then upload the data back to Microsoft for troubleshooting. That started, I believe, got it added in Windows XP, and got further refined a little bit in Vista in 2008, and then with Windows 7, they added it as a permanent component, so they no longer needed anything special, like an additional executable to enable that feature. So the really nice thing about these, though, is they run native PowerShell. So PowerShell is great. It's the weapon of choice for everybody until people actually figure out how to turn it off. It's easy to create if you have a code signing key, or you're able to add one to the key store of a system. And it's commonly used mostly by Microsoft and hardware vendors to fix problems with their hardware. So what I'll go through is this is how you create them, and these are some wonderful exploit techniques you could use along with them to do additional tasks. You can embed a lot of scripts. So you can take an existing vendor, just like every Android ADK that's uploaded to a third party and then backdoored and resold and all the other stuff. Similar thing. It's just essentially a zip file with a code signing manifest in it, which has, instead of Java or something else, it's going to have your PowerShell scripts as well as DLLs and other stuff. So you can actually use existing functionality, backdoor it, and then inject your code, do whatever you need to. It's any shipping, so say you've got Exchange Server. It has a set of PowerShell scriptlets and commandlets that are imported in there for manipulating Exchange Server or Office or any other Microsoft walkthrough or third-party software that has that. It's able to make use of those on that system. So you want to interact with it, you want to reconfigure it, you want to do some, get some additional info. You can drop these things on and call those things natively, and it will allow you to enumerate them, or check to see if they exist, pull information, then do other things. So it can be run directly by clicking, which is nice. People like to click, right? And then the other way you can do it is by calling from the command line. So you can call this executable, which is in the path, Microsoft systems, and supply it with a XML file, which tells it what to do. So there's no user interaction. Okay. You do need PowerShell 2.0 WinRM, so that's shipped available for older operating systems, but by default in Windows 7 and 2008 R2 Plus. It works on Windows RT, so if you ever see a Windows RT, which you probably never will, it will run on that just fine. So there's no need for native code unless you use a DLL to do it, so it works on the ARM platforms as well. And I guess it would also work on the Raspberry Pi build they have out there. I don't know if that's any good, but it should work there as well. Yeah, clicking next. There's no auto-execute MIME type, so unlike a Java with a JNLP or an exe or something, something would execute from the browser. It doesn't have that functionality unless you go and add it. And it requires OCSP access in some situation. Talk to me later about this because I haven't actually worked out all the bits about it, but the older the file is, the more likely it's going to work because it's already been checked for whatever reason. And then enabling a timestamp circle on it helps. You need something to generate the XML to create these, a manifest, the code signing manifest, create it for the signature catalog, authenticate signatures are applied to it, of course, because that's Microsoft code signing. It's a nice part of the Windows 7 SDK, which is kind of a pain in the butt to install, but once you figure it out, they actually released a diag to fix the installer to make sure you can use this, which is funny. You do need one of those object code signing certs, and I've got this done. So this is coming out this week. This actually, I should have taken this out, but yeah, you'll have it. It'll be up on my GitHub tomorrow, hopefully. All right. So, but signing isn't hard. $60 from Start SSL. Yeah. You can use another project. So if you've got some Java, it's not always in the key store, but you can also do other things like you want to sign in exe. It used to be that AV would ignore signed code executables, but you know, I think that only works on a few subset of vendors now. So that's kind of useful for other things. Also, you can say, I want my name on this thing. You can't screw with it. All right? And it helps stop unauthorized people from taking your payload and then reusing it and changing the internals of it unless you supply them with the ability to interact with it in a way like supplying a file that it calls, or when I get to the demo portion, you can actually pass it different strings. So take the plunge, it hurts less. Okay, so let's run PowerShell. You know, shell code execution. Let's intercepts it. The only thing I heard before I even talked about this that did any kind of inspection. No, AV was a Palo Alto system. Some other stuff has added some support for it, but I've never seen them actually pick it up if you use custom code and whatnot, and have something that has user interaction, which is why I say detonating really isn't helpful for this sort of thing if you have anything that requires input before it does something malicious. Okay. But so let's see this. So, going to use a very basic shellcode inject from PowerShell, or not PowerShell, PowerSploit. I apologize. Yay, resolution win. Okay. So, as I said, it's a diagnostic cabinet. This is all the Windows stuff. So, pops up. What does that look like to y'all? Every other Windows diagnostic troubleshoot? You might actually have seen this before. Yeah. So, what does that look like? Huh. Funny. It's built on the operating system. That's so strange. Why wouldn't Microsoft include diagnostic tools to fix itself? So let's make use of this. So this is a very basic example. It has a hard-coded IP return, and it basically will send me a shell. Guess what? It's signed by me. Also, you can do fun things like set the privacy statement to Google. Yeah, it's really private. So let's go. Let's do something very basic. It's detecting our problems. Oh, no. Okay, let's have our shell. Please work this time. Demo gods, please. All right, we'll try this again. Network stuff went down and up, so. Oh, it's resolving the problems now. Let's have fix, of course. Try again. Oh no, what's that? That's a shell. Can y'all see that? What's that? If I hint enter? Okay. I like shells. Hooray! Frog. Oh, Emmet, you protect me so well. Yeah. So, yeah, my system here, Windows 8.1. It works fine on Windows 10 and Windows 7 without any issue, so long as the code signing stuff gets caught up with the OCSP server. Real easy. I'm not an administrator at this point, so please keep that in mind. But I'm able to do all the fun interpreter things, any kind of PowerShell. What this was is just very basic PowerSploit. Reverse HTTPS interpreter. Wasn't caught by anything, and it's really nice. So let's get back to our slides. Present. So, click, click, click. The UI to this is extremely straightforward, almost as simple as the UI that you interact with as the troubleshooting system. And I will show you how to create one of these by literally copying, pasting code directly into a file, saving, and then just having it run. Provided you have a cert, it's damn easy. It's easier than, well, what is easier than? That's a question. All right, so, So, number 2, real easy. All right, let's go to this guy. So here's the interface. Basically, it is a root cause, so it's a troubleshooting application. All you have to do with this guy is take your code and drop it in and give it a couple of root causes here. It's got a global troubleshooter, which will do fun things. We'll get to that in a minute. It allows interactions. It has a resolver, which would be another script that would run. So what you can have do is do a troubleshooting file, have it do some recon, see, is this person in the administrators group? Is this person able to do this, that, and the other? And then pick what payload you want it to activate as a result, or grab and download for you, because if you have it already running, you can download arbitrary PowerShell or whatever else, and it will still run it. You don't have to have that part of the signed package in order to do it. So that's also another benefit. This is Microsoft Visual Studio. Yeah, it's part of the Windows 7 SDK. What? This is actually a standalone troubleshooting designer, if you look up top here. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see the screen, so I can't see what y'all are seeing. Is that better? Right there. Okay. My good friend here, I will pass you the slides as well. Okay. All right, so it's got a resolver, a verifier, so you can verify the resolution was done properly. So if your shell didn't work, or you have an outlook, or you set an output, you can verify that stuff is working as you intended. Like, you know, you verify the fix worked, or you verify you got your shell, or you verify any other information you want to gather, which is wonderful. It's so useful. And then here's where you would do your scripts. Well, let's go in here. Windows PowerShell integrated ID, whatever the hell I call it, is right here. So very basic stuff. You drop in here, and all the code that it requires is right here. So it tells you whether you fixed it or not. Okay? Well, below this is just the very basic shellcode exec. There's no encoding on this. This doesn't get picked up even if I drop it in there. Which is crazy. If you do, like, you unpack this thing, you do a strings, this should pop all sorts of AV. But they don't inspect it. And what? Yeah, it's trusted because it's signed. I don't get it. But anyway, you drop it in here, you invoke your shell code, and that's exactly what we did. We got our shell. All right? Let's go on to the next little bit here. I'll get to that in just a second because that's the next little bitty. So It has an option. Did you see that in the thing? It may have got cut off for elevation. So that's a great little option. You just click a box and it's like, I want to elevate. I'm going to get administrator, privs. And then it bypasses UAC, the default settings. So if you're not an admin, it will prompt for credentials. And it will not pre-populate the admin user like some things will do for it. But if they have an administrative account, it will go in there. But the nice thing is you can use the troubleshooting script to see whether an admin and then attempt to elevate based upon that operation. So it's really useful for that. Yeah, and I found this without even looking. I was like, click. I'm sure it's going to do a UAC prompt and pop up. It's like, nope. Just wonderful. Because it's being run by the MSDT.exe, which there's some UAC bypasses that would used to use like Explorer and other stuff because they would be calling stuff and you're doing it in their context and would elevate. Some of those have been fixed, and it's the same concept because it is a Microsoft trusted application designed to fix stuff that users aren't able to do otherwise. So let's look at this. Okay. Which one was it? This one. All right. So yeah, as I said, that's all you need. Click. But let's actually use it. All right, let's do something elevated. Yes, but elevated. Oh, detecting problems, not telling me a prompt. It's wonderful. Yeah, I've got another shell. You might notice something a little bit different here. You're able to see the username of these guys? Is everyone able to see that? Good. Just that, so. It's not popping up anything. Do it. Oh, Ray. There we go. It's lovely, isn't it? I would load Mimikatz and show you my password, but we'll move on, all right? But anyway, it's going to continue to run here, and actually there are ways that in the toolkit you can actually have it finish, and if somebody it moves on to the next step, it'll give you another shell, and then if they cancel it, it'll give you another shell, and then you cancel it, it'll give you another shell, until like you're finished, you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm going to kill the process, no more shells for me. But it's wonderful because it like tries to rerun something if it didn't think it completed correctly. That's fantastic. Okay. It has the ability to send diagnostic, and I'll go over that in a minute, diagnostic information back to a central server. So whose server would that be? I don't know. Come on, Google. User error? Yeah, couldn't be possibly Google. This is why you do not use the internet for anything. Seriously. Okay, y'all can see that, hopefully. And if it doesn't work again, I'll just go through them this way. What's that? I don't have it. Good. I like the troubleshooting. Thank you. Yeah. So is this useful for targeted attacks? Oh, what are you doing? All right. Yeah. I'm not as skinny as those guys, so I really couldn't pull off the towel. Yeah. So So let's talk about making this better. I'm going to do a tool release, as I said. I'm going to do it automatically to pull in. Hopefully people don't, for April Fools, rename, inject shellcode to another name and leave it in the repo, because that is just really obnoxious when people run stuff arbitrarily downloaded from the internet. Whatever. So it will do it without the need for any special thing. And automatic generation of answer files. So what are answer files? They're useful because if you can ask it to do something, you can ask it to run it without a user interaction. So if you have an existing shell in a system, you can use this to arbitrarily inject shellcode into something else if your syringe is being blocked. So that's useful, and because it's trusted code, it's much less likely to get caught, at least at this point. But if you use a cryptor, what's up? The only really way to do it is to disable the actual msdt.exe, which is a good idea. And it works off of WebDev and off of UNC paths, so you don't even have to have the diecab sitting on your place or have the answers file sitting there. So you can have the encrypted version on the system, call out to the answers file on a UNC share, and have it come back and give you the options like the decryption password, which is really nice. And you can have it send back, as I said, output. So there's a register key that actually I'll do in the persistence module for this, which will actually have which you flip, and all you need to do is flip it, and it will send all the data back to you. It will not do it to locally display it. So any errors or any post-exploitation output you need is sent back to your controlled server, which is really nice. All right. So what did we learn? We haven't got to that point. I got one more demo for you. We can also have people do stuff like, I don't know, give us answers, which would be really useful if you want to have somebody pick 1 or 0 or whatever else. Okay. So we can path parameters to it. So where's the shell going? So the reason this is useful, can anyone guess? To put the IP in there. You drop this on a system, you give it an answers file, I want to send a shell to someplace else. That's great. I can also do things like, I want to do this particular scriptlet, or I want to do a full PowerShell interpreter popped up for me that it would otherwise be blocked. It's useful, so try this. Report, oh, that's fine. All right, sending me another shell. I love shells. Oh, sorry, not screen. Sorry. Yeah, that's really useful. So you can have it do parameters and have it do dynamics. So you can make a generic one. So if you have like a list, you don't know what your internal IP is going to be, you can have a listener. Also, one thing that's on the future that I'm going to do things like, and I'll show you, add things to it like enabling Teredo and making it default, so you can tunnel out of something that, who here knows what Teredo is? No one. Oh, that guy. Okay. Teredo is one of Microsoft's IPv6 tunneling adapters, and fortunately, Microsoft also supplies this wonderful service for all Windows systems ever equipped with Teredo, hosted on their system to do callbacks to them to tunnel IPv6 over IPv4. So if you enable that, you can have shell listener sitting on Teredo or have it do a callback to Microsoft from Microsoft's cloud. And people are going to trust Microsoft's cloud. It's extremely easy to enable that with PowerShell. That's one of the few things that I would like to include this. Anyway, you don't need all, and so what have we learned? So it's magic. It does USA bypass. Does not use a hole, uses existing functionality. There are ways to mitigate this, but honestly, it's built into the system. It's integrated, obviously, with all the operating system. And in order to rip that out or disable it, you really do have to harden the machine considerably more than you can with any of the existing hardening profiles I've seen out there. It does not disable this functionality. So, yeah, disable this. I found out it's not there. Don't run it as admin. Well, you still get a shell. Where's all the user data? In the user's folders, whatever. Block this extension. That's probably the best way, because only a few select people other than Microsoft actually use this right now. They're typically hardware providers. So if you see these coming down, at your proxy logs or in your mail, it would probably be a better idea just to block it entirely, like you would with an exe or something else. So, and then alert on any that aren't signed by Microsoft. This is actually pretty easy to do relative to disabling PowerShell. And because the small number of institutions that actually use these that are not local administrators, which I've seen one instance where people actually roll these themselves, they're not going to be signed by Microsoft. So you can do pull the metadata off the signing cert. So what's next? As I said, there are some problems with this. If you signed it recently and you're not using a timestamping service, sometimes if you drop it on a system, it will not work for a couple of days for whatever reason, because it hasn't verified or something. I'm trying to figure out the root of this, but that's the next thing. So this will be more effective on systems, because I actually had somebody tell me that they tried this on an engagement and it didn't work because that system, I believe, wasn't able to call back to an OCSP server and then check for the validity of the cert. So timestamping service should help with this, but it doesn't always. All right. And as I said, including things like enabling Pterodo and using that for alternate connectbacks listeners, you can do changes to the operating system. So these are references, and for all the great things. So like Windows SDK, this is everything you'll need to do any of the examples that I did here. And as I said, the tool will actually download all the resources you need to build these. So, and actually, I would love a cool name for a tool, because I couldn't for the life of me figure something out. So if anyone has a suggestion, I will name it that if it's decent. All right, but I'd like to thank all these people. My employer for letting me attend. Novaha. Anybody here from Novaha? Nova Hackers? That guy in the back? You move away and nobody's there. PowerSploit and the Veil project for having all the code already written for me, so I don't have to do any actual coding except for a few things to generate some XML manifests and sign stuff. Microsoft for making it easy. My keynotes. And DerbyCon. It's wonderful. Great conference. So you can contact me. And let me open up to questions. Diet cap. So let me bring that up here. Yeah. So like that. Sorry? I'll put some online and share them out, or you can come up and I'll give you a copy of the PDF. Yeah. So you can actually supply an icon, but you know what that icon is housed in? It's housed in a DLL. So you can actually use that for reflexive injection, because it's actually running the code that's in the DLL when the system is the thing is started. So they don't have to necessarily just click the next button. Yep. Yeah, so just like all the other things, the answer file the program I'm going to release actually will generate that for you. But also, the answer file, if you have a parameter saying you want to do it elevated or not at runtime, you can actually script that out. So with just applying it the XML. There is, but I need to talk to Microsoft about that first, because there is actually something that needs to be fixed before I'm going to talk about it publicly. You may be able to investigate on your own and figure it out, because it's really not all that hard to find, but I won't give you specifics about some more, because it is a vulnerability at this point. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much.